Hi, this is Eddie Deason. You're listening to Breaking the Fourth Wall. I was Mandark in Dexter's laboratory. Ha 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 ha.
You are listening to Breaking the Fourth Wall on Realm of the Mist Entertainment.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. Today, joining me on the show is a man of many talents. I'm looking at his IMDb, and he is all over the place. Mr. Joe Castro. How are you today, sir?
I'm doing great today. Thank you for asking me.
Yeah.
I appreciate that, and I appreciate you asking me to come on the show today. I'm excited about this.
I'm excited to have you on here. You are the first person that I've had on here that has really, most of their stuff is what you do. And I'm not going to take that away from you telling the listeners what it is you do. So I'm going to start the interview the same way I do with everybody, and I'm going to ask you if, in your own words, you don't have to do a whole resume or anything, but can you tell the people what you do and, maybe where you've done it?
Okay, well, like I said, my name is Joe Castro, and I am considered a special effects, visual effects supervisor, creator for the motion picture industry. And I've been working in the field for approximately 37 years now. And I work on a lot of independent horror movies, science fiction movies, action films, and even some comedies. And people ask me to create and produce practical effects and digital effects for their motion pictures, and I've actually produced them for my own motion pictures throughout the years. And, people really, when they come to me and ask me to do something, it's because there's something really specific that the movie needs to be done in a way, in a style that I do special effects.
That's awesome. That's cool that you're known for this one, this kind of style. That's pretty cool.
It's an honor. It really is an honor, and I'm very humbled and grateful to have been able to be working in the industry for as many years as I have. And to be honest with you, I feel like I've just got my wind. Like I've only just begun.
Oh, well, that's perfect then, right? I mean,
yeah.
I'm impressed. It's hard to have that kind of staying power in that industry. I've had a few people before that kind of say it's a hard and long road, and a lot of people can't keep up with that. So kudos to you.
Thank you. Well, I'll be honest with you. I've had a lot of positive reinforcement and encouragement from many, many, many of my industry peers and my family and friends throughout the years. This is not something that has come easy. I've worked very, very hard to be where I'm at, and I've done it with the help of many people.
That's great that you have a support system, though, that people actually, got behind you and everything. So what was it that got you started in this crazy world?
Well, the story is somewhat known, but for anybody that doesn't know it, when I was 7 years old, my father, Martin Castro Jr., was babysitting me over the weekend because my mother had gone away with friends on a trip, and he was working out on the ranch. I grew up in Helotes, Texas, and he decided while he was doing some work out on the ranch, it would be best if I stayed inside. And he put me in front of the television, and he said, "Watch this, you're going to really like it." At the time, I was really interested in dinosaurs and dragons, and I wanted to be a paleontologist. And he said, "Watch this, you're going to like it." And sure enough, it was Godzilla versus the Smog Monster. And that was really the first movie I ever saw by myself from beginning to end. And I was just sitting there in front of the TV on a Saturday afternoon. And when that movie was over, I knew exactly what I wanted to do. I wanted to make movies, and I wanted to make monsters and put them in movies. And and that's exactly what I set out to do. Yeah.
That's wild. And from 7 years old on,
and from 7 years old, yeah.
Wow.
And you know, the movie that I watched was Godzilla versus the Smog Monster, and that's considered like the darkest Godzilla film of its time during that time. Godzilla almost dies in that movie at one point, and he's wounded pretty severely in the film, and so I think my area of going into special effects into the darker, more grotesque world came from that, you know.
Oh, well, a little origin story there.
Yeah.
That's cool. So I see on here that you've also done, some producing, it looks like, and it's got some director stuff listed and actor stuff. Have you dabbled in all of these things?
I have been blessed to produce, write, direct, and create special effects for 18 feature films, and 11 of them I produced with my partner Steven Escobar, who has been my partner for 21 years now, and we just finished our 18th feature film. Well, my 18th feature film. I think it's his 12th feature film. It's called titled Xenophobia, and it's out right now at all the Walmart, and you can get it on all the home media platforms.
Oh wow! I'm gonna have to check that
and
out.
It's a science fiction with a kind of a horror edge. It's actually the very first ever alien abduction anthology movie.
Oh.
So it has a lot of aliens in it, from kind of like a throwback to like the 80s, the cantina scene in Star Wars, all practical aliens kind of thing. And it's kind of been a little adventure. I've been wanting to make this movie for almost 20 years now. And eventually all the stars aligned a year ago, and we produced the film together and wrote it with a good friend of ours, Thomas J. Churchill, who's also a producer and a director. And we all three produced this movie together and co-wrote it, and we all three co-directed it. And it's been a great adventure. It just was released about a month and a half ago on all the home media platforms, and it's doing really well, and we are really happy with the response we've had from sci-fi horror fans. It has some really cool original moments in it, and that's like something else that I kind of like to strive for. I like to make truly original cinema, and so whenever I make a movie, I try to make something that's never been done before, and that's one of the reasons I wanted to make the very first ever alien anthology abduction movie.
That's cool. That's really cool. I'm going to check that out for sure.
Thank you.
So with all these things under your belt, all these different facets of the movie making genre, I guess is the only way I can think to put it. Of all of those things, what do you like to do the most?
Whenever I'm working on a picture, I really like to, even though I can do many things, I like to focus my attention on one thing, whether it be directing or doing special effects or writing. And because it's great to be able to focus and have also a well-tuned group of people behind you to help you. Everybody wears a very important hat, when it comes to producing and creating a movie. And there are no small bits or small roles in a film, especially when it comes to creating it, behind the camera. All the technicians and artisans and producers and writers and actors are all very, very important and integral parts of the film. So over the years, yes, I've worn many hats in my films in the past, but as I am making films now, I want everything to be very focused and refined. And so, right now I'm doing a lot of special effects for other people's films, and I really enjoy that because I get to focus on just, making the special effects, number one, high studio quality special effects. so everybody can enjoy them and make sure that they are stars in their own right in the film, you know.
Yeah, that's cool. That's awesome. Like, you know, being so into it like that. I mean, I think back to the story you literally just told about, you know, you were 7 years old and you saw that movie and you just, you know, you've got that drive to continue doing it. Most people, you know, 20 years, okay, I'm done, but you just kept at it. That's impressive.
Well, thank you. You know, and part of the success, I think, of this adventure has been that my perception of what my job is has evolved and changed over the years. You know, when it started, it was, you know, grasping at knowledge and trying to find my place. And then it became, and I see this a lot in people that are kind of like in the middle, kind of beginning to middle of their career. They are trying to make a name for themselves and have their style or their pertinence be known. But eventually, now in the stage of the career that I'm in, I tend to consider my job an extension of the director's job. And so really and truly deep down, I'm just trying to make my boss look cool and feel good about what he's doing, you know.
Okay.
And when I come at my work in that, with that angle, you know, everybody wins, you know, and it's just a really interesting new way of looking at an artistic creative job, you know. And most artists want to be singled out and be original and be maybe put on a pedestal. I prefer to use my gift to make other people feel good about themselves.
That's amazing. I have no words for that. And I'm sure all the other people that work with you really appreciate that.
I like I said, I'm very grateful to have so many talented friends in my life.
That's cool. That is really cool. So I gotta ask you. Now I understand that there's probably, you know, some NDA stuff out there and whatnot, but are you working on anything big right now that you could kind of give us a little?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Something?
I have right now. I'm in the middle of working with director Justin Seaman on his smash hit sequel to a movie that he made back in 2015, I believe, titled The Barn. I have had the honor to recreate the three lead characters for The Barn 2, and working with Don Shell as one of the co-executive producers of that film, and he brought me in to create all these zombies and gore for it, as well as the three lead villains, and so I'm excited about that.
That's cool.
And then right now there's a couple of other projects that I'm involved in. Some of them are untitled, so even if I told you what they were about, I don't even have a title to give you. But I do have I just finished 2 features with Thomas Churchill. I don't know that I can say anything about it. I know one of them. I just want to say one of them is a very well-known franchise style film, and it involves a vampire. The other one is a giant creature feature. And
cool.
Thomas gave me the opportunity to build the biggest creature I've built in my career this past year. I can't say what it is, but it's a complete throwback to Jaws.
Oh.
It's not a water movie. It's not a water movie, but it's a complete throwback to like Jaws. It's that big of a creature.
Wow.
So that happened this past year. And what else? I have a whole bunch of stuff coming out. I'm working with director Sherry Davis on her new movie Drained, and they just had the release of the movie Friday the 13th Vengeance. It's a fan film, but it was done on a huge scale. And C.J. Graham from Friday the 13th Part 6, the actor that played Jason, he's in the movie.
Oh,
I know
neat.
Steve Dash is in the movie. He just passed away. Steve Dash played Jason in Part 2. He's in the film. Tommy McLaughlin, who directed Friday the 13th Part 6, he's in the film. And Jason Brooks is the actor that plays the new Jason in Friday the 13th Vengeance. So I did some special effects in that film as well. It just recently came out. But there's a lot of people that have brought me to the table and put my name in the hat for all this stuff that I want to make sure that I mention. There's the amazing actress Brink Stevens, who has been a part of my career from the very beginning. I met her in 1985, and my partner Steven Escobar and I hired her, had her star, write, and produce and direct her first film, which is Personal Demons, which we're hoping will be released in the next year.
Cool.
And then of course I want to mention the late Herschel Gordon Lewis, who I had the opportunity to work with on the sequel to the very first slasher movie ever made. That was Blood Feast, was the original slasher movie. He made that movie back in 1963, and that's the very first slasher movie ever made. Why is it the very first slasher movie ever made? Because it's the very first movie with this storyline. Tell me if this sounds familiar. A deranged killer stalks innocent victims one by one, killing each one in a horrific death, only to die at the hands of the hero or the heroine of the movie at the very end in a more horrific death. Does that sound familiar?
Yeah.
That's the storyline of every slasher movie ever made. And
it really is.
And Herschel created that storyline back in 1963 with his original slasher film Blood Feast, and that was the very first one ever. And it was also the very first movie to ever exploit color blood in motion picture cinema. In fact, when he made that film in 1963, it was considered pornographic, and movie theaters would not play his film. So he had to take his movie by himself to different towns in the United States and rent out adult movie houses on Saturday afternoons in the matinee, and he would advertise in the paper, and people would come and see it. But he could only play it in adult movie movie houses.
Holy cow!
And that's how he made his mark. So I had the opportunity to create the special effects for the sequel to that movie that Herschel directed 33 years later. In 2001, it was called Blood Feast 2, All You Can Eat. And
nice.
Yeah. So Herschel was a big part of my career, and even though he passed away coming up on 3 years now, and he was so kind to divulge to me the secret blood formula for the original blood used in that 1963 movie, and so that was I'm kind of like the keeper of the blood formula. And it's one of my prized possessions I have right now.
Is that something you use when you do the special effects? Is that something you use?
I do use it. I do use it on occasion. I do use it. It still has its purposes today in motion picture cinema. His blood is very good. I use his blood for nighttime scenes. It shows up really well in the dark, and it shows up really well against dark skin. And but I try to bring a bottle of it almost to every movie set I go to, just to kind of bring him along and in remembrance of him and all that he did for the genre, and kind of like just to show all the cinema files and the fans on set that Herschel is still alive and well with us, and still influencing us every day in motion picture cinema.
Wow, that's honorable right there. I have a lot more respect for you. Not that I didn't in the get-go, but definitely that's amazing.
I spoke with Herschel about a month before he died, and I didn't know he was sick at the time. But when I was speaking to him, I told him that I appreciated him, and that I would always use his name in a positive light, and I would always treat others with the same kindness and respect that he showed me, and that he, that I would be a man of my word, and I would make sure everybody remembered him for the man he really was.
Well, I am glad that you told that story on my show then. That's amazing. I hope that this stays out in the interwebs for the rest of eternity, and his name and legacy will live on in that fashion at least too.
That would be great. That would be awesome. I'm sure he would greatly appreciate that.
Yeah. So we were talking about how he had created the blood and how you had taken, you're the keeper of the blood recipe. um, what about you yourself? Have you way back in the beginning, you had said that, directors come to you because you have a certain style. Is this a style that you just do, or is this something that you came up with yourself and it's kind of like patented, Joe Castro?
I obviously have been influenced by many, many people, and I know that. And I think it's just my own recipe of putting all that together that makes the style that I have. I was definitely influenced by Tom Savini and directors like David Cronenberg and all the old Italian horror films.
Mm-hmm.
And, I think when they need something that makes a real impact, it's one thing to have a beautiful crafted creature in your movie, but then is that creature effective at what it needs to do? There's a difference. I mean, the special effect isn't the star alone. It also has to be lit well. It also has to be directed well. It also has to be, the actors that are around it that bring it to life as well. Mm-hmm. And so whenever a director hires me, they get all of that. All of that comes when they hire me to be on their set. They get a special effects artist that knows how to direct the monster, that knows how to talk to the actors, to interact with the monster, that knows how to work with the lighting people to light the monster correctly, that knows how to second guess and to kind of predict play the devil's advocate of what they need and what they don't need. And so that's where I become a visual effects and special effects supervisor on set.
I see. That's cool though. I mean, you get to kind of show your skill and help make that movie the best that it possibly could be. That's great.
Yep. Thank you. Yep. And so, moving forward, something that I like to reiterate when I'm working and talking with directors in pre-production is that I do care about the budget, but regardless of the budget, it still has to look good.
Right.
We still have to take the time to do it correctly. There's no reason for us to not have it look at a certain quality. It still needs to look amazing. And I sometimes I butt heads with people on set because of it.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm at a point in my career where everything has to look good. There are no more small films. There are no more excuses.
Gotcha.
Everything needs to be the best it can be. Yeah.
Gotcha. So have you ever sat down and watched a movie either, when it hit theaters or down the road, 5 years down the road, and you watch the movie and you go, oh man, I really wish I had done that differently? Do you ever?
Oh gosh, yes. Yeah. My partner, Steven Escobar, and I actually have the Guinness Book of World Record for the highest body count in a slasher movie.
Oh, wow.
And we made this movie titled The Summer of Massacre back in 2010, and it came out in 2011, 2012.
Mm-hmm.
And, I went to school at the time to learn computer-generated effects.
Oh, all right.
And so a lot of the film is CGI, and that's how we were able to get such a high body count. But part of it's practical, and a lot of it's CGI. And what happened was, once I started doing a little bit of CGI on my practical, things just got out of hand, and it all needed to have this CGI look to it. And I think today I would have done everything slightly different. I still would have used CGI, but I've just come so far. I was going to school at the time, and I made a lot of first-time mistakes, and a lot of first-time directors make a lot of first-time mistakes, especially when they're doing it by themselves. And so when I go back and I look at that film, I realize I made a lot of novice mistakes because I did not have the same support group I have today around me. But it is what it is. It won, I don't know, something like 36 awards. It has a Guinness Book of World Record, and I mean, I can't knock it too much because it is what it is, and it's a part of my career, and I move forward from there.
That's a great story. That's testament to your drive. That's awesome.
Thank you.
I'm
Thank you.
impressed. That's cool. Well, we're getting dangerously close to the part where I have to start wrapping things up, but I have one more question. It got brought up at an interview a little bit ago, and since you are a special effects guy and a director and a producer, you kind of dabbled in everything. I'm hoping maybe you can help me out with an idea that we had. Not necessarily.
Okay.
I just want your thoughts on it. So.
Okay.
In this day and age, they are remaking every movie out there. So we had come up with the idea of what if you remade the movie Harry and the Hendersons, but instead of Harry the way he was, you use the Harry, or he doesn't really have a name, I just always called him Harry, but the Sasquatch from the Jack Link's commercials. Do you think would that movie be recepted or well received, you think?
I mean, let's put it this way. Okay. Somewhere on this planet, someone worships a movie that you dislike. And, I truly believe that movies are neither good or bad. They either entertain the person that's watching them or they don't.
Oh, wow.
I'll be honest with you. I remember the first Harry and the Hendersons it's a family film, like a light comedy.
Right. Yeah.
And there's always going to be room for comedy in this world,
Mm-hmm.
And absolutely. I mean, I don't see any reason why it wouldn't be a big hit today.
There you go.
Yeah. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I love that philosophy, though, that there's no good or bad movies. It's just, are you entertained or are you not? Like, that's a really good way to think about it. I never thought about it like that before. You have taught me something new today, sir. I try not to learn on these shows. Thank you very much. That's great. It's a great outlook.
What are your plans for Halloween?
My plans are actually to take my two youngest children out trick-or-treating, and they are going as a themed costume set. My daughter is Princess Zelda, and my youngest son is going as Link.
Very nice. Very nice. Well, Halloween is a favorite time of the year for me. And, I like to get dressed up and go out during the day now.
Oh, okay.
I don't like going out at night, in the dark. I like getting dressed up and going out in the daytime. But I have a hard time finding people to get dressed up and go out with me these days. It kind of gets, at my age, I get a little crazy. I can't say it's always fun because I make it into such a big deal.
Yeah.
But it's definitely always memorable. And I'm looking forward to Halloween this year myself. So
awesome.
But we'll see what happens.
Well, they always say you're only as old as you feel. So if you want to dress up during the day and go out and terrorize the neighborhood, it doesn't matter what age you are, you go for it.
That's right. That's exactly what I enjoy doing.
So
listen, I'm actually going to walk out to the studio. A friend of mine's coming over, a special effects friend, and we're painting a dead cadaver today for a new motion picture. And it's
That's
one
great.
of the hero props of the film. And it's and I can't say who it is, but it's actually the dead body of a famous actor from my childhood who came over to the house to get life casted for this prop. So this is kind of a big deal for me. And I'm inviting another artist to come into my my studio. I rarely have other artists in my studio, but there's a very talented young man, and I hope to begin a new working relationship with this other special effects artist. It's been many years since I've had other special effects artists in my realm, in my studio, working with me, simply because it's a very competitive field, and I try to surround myself with people that are as talented as me, or more talented to make me do my best. So
Yeah.
I think this might be a good match. I'm looking forward to working with this young man, and everybody check out my Facebook page, facebook.com/joe.castro, and maybe I'll post some pictures in the near future of this dead body that we're making. But if everybody goes over to my page now, all my pictures are public, and I post all my work there, and I'll be posting some pictures from Halloween soon.
Perfect. That's exactly where I was going to go with that is, in these last few minutes, I like to have the guests say where they can go and check stuff out, check out your work, maybe follow you on different social medias and things like that. So,
on Instagram, I'm Joe Castro Director. And if you want, please follow me there, but also check out Xenophobia. Xenophobia, the title literally means the fear of the unknown, or the fear of foreigners. In our case, it's the fear of aliens, basically. Right. And so it's kind of, like I said, a dark horror abduction anthology, sci-fi anthology with all practical alien effects. And I think if you like 80s style horror films and like 80s style aliens and monster movies, you're going to love this film.
This sounds amazing. I'm definitely going to have to check it out, so I hope the listeners do too. And by hope, I mean y'all better. But Joe, I just want to say before we wrap things up here, I just want to say thank you so much for coming on the show. And just you're an amazing guy. You got a really good sense of humor. We had some laughs, and it's been my pleasure having you on today.
Ray, it's been a complete honor, and I'm so grateful and humbled that you took the time to talk with me about my career and allowed me to express my fondness and gratitude for the other people that have brought me to the place where I am today in my field.
No problem at all. And anytime, if you ever want to come back, you just shoot me a message and we'll make it happen.
Thank you, Ray. Thank you. All right, everybody
lady.
have a... Yeah, I was going to say, everybody have a wonderful, happy fall Halloween season this year, 2019, and thank you very much, Ray.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you for listening, ladies and gentlemen, and we hope to see you next time. That's it for today's show, ladies, gentlemen, and anything around or in between. Another great interview. Remember, I'm Ray, and this has been Breaking the Fourth Wall. Check me out at Chronicles of the Lost Realm on YouTube, Anchor, and Instagram. I can also be found on War of the Stars, a Star Wars podcast. Become a Patreon to help us provide even more content and quality entertainment for you. All of our shows can be found on Anchor.fm or wherever podcasts can be heard. Breaking the Fourth Wall is a Realm of the Mist affiliate.